Once upon a time, many years ago, lived a colony of penguins. They made their home on an iceberg which offered plenty of food and protection. The penguins thought life was perfect until a huge discovery was made by a curious penguin named Fred. Little did they know their fate depended on how they dealt with Fred and his findings.
I don't know what to do. How do I tell the others that our iceberg's melting and it could break apart? I don't want everyone to think I'm crazy like that last bird. I know. I'll tell Alice. Maybe she'll be more willing to believe me.
He knows he'll need help to solve the problem, so he will talk to Alice, one of the more understanding members of the Leadership Council.
I've been noticing some changes with our iceberg, and I think it's going to melt and break apart.
Well, why don't you take me to the place where the problem is?
Well, this place is underneath and inside of our iceberg, and the journey's going to be dangerous because we'll be vulnerable to killer whales and seals, so we must be very careful.
Alright, that's fine. Let's go.
So Fred and Alice dove into the water and explored the problem. Fred showed Alice the cracking fissures and the cavern filling with water that would freeze and expand and potentially break their iceberg into 1,000,000 pieces. Alice was shaken by this idea, though she didn't show it.
I need to think about all this and then talk with the fellow leaders as soon as possible. I'll need your help though. I need you to be prepared to help the others see and feel the urgency of the problem. And be prepared, some of the birds won't want to see there even is a problem.
Alright, no problem.
Fred felt better knowing he wasn't the only penguin who knew of this problem. Alice talks to Lewis and the committee and convinces them to listen to Fred's concerns and allow him to present before the council. Fred presents his findings.
As you can see by the model, our iceberg looks fine from the top. All the problems are below the surface. There's a big cave filled with water. The water will freeze and break the iceberg apart.
It's true. I've seen it all with my own eyes. The cave is huge and scary. We can't ignore this anymore.
Melting is common in the summer. It'll be fine when winter comes. There is no reason to worry over what this junior bird is saying. Maybe the melting hasn't caused the canal to open. He says the water will freeze and break the iceberg apart, but maybe it won't. How do we know what he's saying isn't just a theory? Wild speculation? Fear-mongering? Can you guarantee this data is 100% accurate?
No, I can't give you a guarantee because I'm not 100% sure myself. But if our iceberg breaks into 1,000,000 pieces, it'll be during the winter. And if that happens, won't many of us die? Wouldn't it happen?
And what would the parents say if their children died through the winter? They would ask, why couldn't the Leadership Council see this coming? What would we say then? Sorry, we weren't 100% sure?
We need to move this along as quickly as possible. Winter is coming and we need to be ready for it.
We need to convince the colony of what we have seen, but how do we show them proof?
Fred then bolted down to his place and grabbed something that he thought would be of help. When he returned, everyone was puzzled of what he had brought.
What is it?
I'm not entirely sure, but it's not ice. It never melts, and it's almost always perfect. We can fill it with water, seal the top, leave it out in the cold wind, and see if the expanding water breaks the object. If it breaks, we must call an assembly of the colony.
So they filled the bottle with water and sealed it overnight. That next morning, the bottle was broken from the expanding water. Ooh. And the assembly was already organized. Lewis spoke among everyone and assembled a team. The team was Fred, the founder of the problem; Alice, the appointed council member who agreed that there is a problem; Lewis, the head of the Leadership Council; the professor, a very intelligent bird who brought the group to the conclusion they were a strong group of birds; and Buddy, very good storyteller and a good-looking bird with nice feathers, as you can see. Now that a group was put together, they had to find alternatives. They appointed an assembly of birds to find a solution to the problem.
Our iceberg is going to melt and break apart. We need to take corrective action and figure out some alternatives to fix this problem. Let's dig a hole in the iceberg to relieve the water in the center of the iceberg so it did not expand and break into 1,000,000 pieces.
Well, I don't think that would work. It'd take 5.2 years in order to reach the water, with 258 birds pecking away at the ice.
Let's find the perfect iceberg. No melting, exposed caves, no fissures, perfect in every way, so that for generations to come, no one would ever have a problem.
That's It's not gonna work either. Like we figured out with this one, I don't think is a perfect iceberg. I think pretty much everywhere we go, there's gonna be melting.
So finally they decided, after many ideas that were not very good alternatives, to walk around with their eyes and minds open, being curious. So they did. And finally, it happened.
Look up there. It's too cold for a bird like that to live here. We should talk to him and find out where he's from.
Hey,
Bird, come down here for a minute.
Hello. I'm Buddy. What are you doing here? What are you looking for?
Well, I'm a scout. I like a new place to live, because we move around a lot, considering things change, and we cannot continue to live in one place forever.
Lewis and the group continued to ask the seagull questions and finally came up with their solution to the problem. They were going to live the same way as the seagull, but not exactly like them. They decided they needed to be nomads, moving from iceberg to iceberg when the conditions were not suitable for their current situation. The birds made flyers and spoke of the nomadic solution and how it was logical. For times are changing and they must too. They were communicating the new vision. Although communication was made through the group, there must be control within the group. A lot of the birds are confused as to how they are going to find a new iceberg to live on when they have so much other stuff to do, like fish, take care of young, and so on. But there was soon a solution to this minor problem as well. Sally Ann, a very young, enthusiastic supporter of this new vision, came up with a solution to the problem. Old tradition states that birds share food with their children and their children only. Sally Ann knew this and found a way around it. She said,
"Why don't we just have a celebration with a raffle, performances, a band, and a flea market? Each penguin that comes to the event has to bring 2 fish. So with around 260 penguins in the colony, they could feed the scouts with ease. We'll call it Tribute to Our Heroes Day."
the fish fed the scout penguins for as long as the scouts needed. There was even room for more scouts to join in on the search for the new iceberg. Finally, they had found a new home. The home was not perfect, nor would any home be after that. They lived on icebergs freeze and melt. So this was not the last time they moved. Now they had an implemented plan and control for the dramatic and scary changes that they had never been ready for previously. They came together through the toughest times to succeed and perform under any changing conditions. Yay! Yay! It's snowing! It's snowing everywhere. And